Numerous anti-homeless laws are being passed across the U.S. In Missouri, a new state law that took effect on January makes it a crime for any person to sleep on state property. For unhoused people, sleeping in public parks or under city highways could mean up to $750 in fines or 15 days in prison for multiple offenses. We listed the 8 states with the highest homelessness rates. These states are increasingly implementing criminal penalties for acts such as public sleeping, camping, and asking for charity among homeless individuals. 1. California. California has passed a new law that prohibits people from sitting, lying, sleeping, or storing personal property on public property. The law, which goes into effect on January 1, 2024, applies to all cities and counties in the state. There are a few exceptions to the law. People are allowed to sit, lie, or sleep on public property if they are participating in a permitted protest or demonstration, waiting for public transportation, using a public restroom, receiving medical treatment. The law also allows cities and counties to designate certain areas as safe zones, where people are allowed to sleep. However, these safe zones must be at least 1,000 feet away from schools, daycare centers, parks, and libraries. The anti-homeless law has been met with mixed reactions. Some people believe that it is necessary to crack down on homelessness, while others argue that it is cruel and inhumane. The law has also been challenged in court, and it is unclear whether it will be upheld. The California Homeless Bill of Rights, which was passed in 2016, prohibits cities and counties from criminalizing homelessness. However, the new anti-homeless law appears to conflict with the Homeless Bill of Rights. It is possible that the courts will strike down the new law as unconstitutional. 2. Florida. Florida has a long history of anti-homeless laws. In recent years, these laws have become increasingly harsh, making it more difficult for people experiencing homelessness to survive. One of the most common anti-homeless laws in Florida is the camping ban. This law prohibits people from sleeping in public places, including parks, sidewalks, and under bridges. The law also prohibits people from storing their belongings in public places. Another common anti-homeless law is the panhandling ban. This law prohibits people from asking for money in public places. The law is often used to target homeless people, even though it is also used to target other people, such as tourists. 3. Texas. One of the most controversial anti-homeless laws in Texas is House Bill 1925, which was signed into law by Governor Greg Abbott in 2021. The law makes it a Class C misdemeanor, punishable by a fine of up to $500, to camp in an unapproved public place. The law also bans cities from using public parks as sanctioned homeless campsites. Proponents of the law say it is necessary to protect public health and safety. They argue that homeless encampments can be magnets for crime and can pose a health hazard. Opponents of the law say it is cruel and inhumane to criminalize people for simply trying to find a place to sleep. They also argue that the law does nothing to address the underlying causes of homelessness, such as poverty, mental illness, and addiction. In addition to House Bill 1925, Texas has a number of other anti-homeless laws on the books. These laws make it illegal to solicit money in public, sleep in a vehicle, store personal belongings in public, wash clothes in public, build a fire in public. 4. Washington. Homelessness is a growing problem in Washington state. Homelessness number has been steadily increasing in recent years, and it is projected to continue to grow. One of the challenges facing people experiencing homelessness is the criminalization of their situation. Many cities and towns in Washington have passed laws that make it illegal to do things like sit or lie on public sidewalks, sleep in public places, or panhandle. These laws are often referred to as anti-homeless laws. In 2022, the state of Washington passed a new law that aimed to address the criminalization of homelessness. The law, known as the Right-of-Way Safety Initiative, prohibits cities from enforcing anti-homeless laws in areas around highways. The law also requires cities to provide shelter or housing to people living in encampments in these areas. The Right-of-Way Safety Initiative is a step in the right direction, but it is not a complete solution. More needs to be done to address the root causes of homelessness, such as poverty, lack of affordable housing, and mental illness. 5. Massachusetts. Massachusetts has a long history of anti-homeless laws. These laws make it illegal for people to sleep, sit, or loiter in public places, and they have been used to criminalize homelessness and make it more difficult for people to get back on their feet. One of the most common anti-homeless laws in Massachusetts is the law against sleeping in public. This law makes it illegal to sleep in any place that is not a designated shelter, even if it is cold or wet outside. This law has been used to arrest people for sleeping in parks, under bridges, and even in their own cars. Another common anti-homeless law is the law against loitering. This law makes it illegal to stand or sit in one place for too long, even if you are not doing anything wrong. This law has been used to arrest people for simply sitting on a bench or waiting for a bus. In recent years, there have been efforts to reform anti-homeless laws in Massachusetts. In 2022, the Massachusetts Attorney General issued an opinion that the law against sleeping in public is unconstitutional if there are not enough shelter beds available. This opinion has been a major victory for advocates for the homeless, but it is only a first step. 6. Pennsylvania. At least 50 Pennsylvania municipalities have laws that prohibit sleeping or camping in public places. These laws are known as anti-homeless laws, and they have been criticized by advocates for the homeless as being unconstitutional and ineffective. The Department of Justice, DOJ, has also weighed in on the issue of anti-homeless laws. In 2016, the DOJ filed a statement of interest in a lawsuit against the city of Boise, Idaho, which had an anti-camping ordinance. The DOJ argued that the ordinance was unconstitutional because it criminalized homelessness itself, rather than any specific behavior. The DOJ's statement of interest was a major victory for homeless advocates, and it has since been cited in other lawsuits challenging anti-homeless laws. However, the issue is still far from settled. Some cities have repealed their anti-homeless laws, while others have continued to enforce them. The debate over anti-homeless laws is complex. On the one hand, it is understandable that cities want to keep their streets clean and safe. On the other hand, anti-homeless laws can make it even harder for people to get back on their feet. When people are forced to sleep on the streets, they are more likely to be exposed to the elements, crime, and violence. They are also more likely to have health problems. There are better ways to address the issue of homelessness than by criminalizing it. Cities should invest in more affordable housing, mental health services, and drug treatment programs. They should also work to create more welcoming environments for people experiencing homelessness. 7. Arizona. Arizona has a number of laws that criminalize homelessness, making it difficult for people to get the help they need. These laws include a ban on sleeping in public places, even if there is no available shelter space. A ban on camping on public land, even if it is vacant. A ban on panhandling. A ban on storing belongings in public places. These laws have been criticized by advocates for the homeless, who say they do nothing to address the root causes of homelessness and instead punish people who are already struggling. They also say that these laws disproportionately impact people of color and people with disabilities. In 2019, a federal judge ruled that Phoenix's ban on urban camping was unconstitutional because it violated the Eighth Amendment's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment. The judge found that the law forced people to sleep in dangerous and unhealthy conditions, and that it did not provide them with adequate alternative shelter options. Despite this ruling, many cities in Arizona continue to enforce anti-homeless laws. In 2023, the Arizona legislature passed a bill that would have further criminalized homelessness by requiring cities to remove homeless encampments and charge people with trespassing. However, the bill was vetoed by Governor Doug Ducey. 8. Ohio. Homelessness is a complex problem with no easy solutions. However, some cities and towns in Ohio have responded to homelessness by enacting laws that criminalize the act of being homeless. These laws make it illegal to sleep, panhandle, or even ask for help in public. These anti-homeless laws are often ineffective and counterproductive. They do not address the root causes of homelessness, such as poverty, lack of affordable housing, and mental illness. Instead, they simply push homeless people out of sight and out of mind. In some cases, these laws have even led to tragic consequences. In 2018, a homeless man named Chris Davis was arrested for sleeping in a public park in Columbus, Ohio. He died in jail the next day from a heart attack. The ACLU of Ohio has challenged several anti-homeless laws in the state. In one case, the ACLU successfully argued that a law banning people from sleeping in public parks was unconstitutional. The court ruled that the law violated the First Amendment right to free speech, as well as the Eighth Amendment prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment. Here are some of the specific anti-homeless laws in Ohio. Camping ban. This law makes it illegal to sleep in a public place, including parks, sidewalks, and doorways. Panhandling ban. This law makes it illegal to ask for money in public. Loitering ban. This law makes it illegal to loiter in a public place for no apparent reason. Solicitation ban. This law makes it illegal to solicit food or shelter in public. These laws are often vague and open to interpretation, which can lead to homeless people being arrested for simply trying to survive. They also make it difficult for homeless people to access the resources they need, such as food, water, and shelter.